Let's talk about gamers' mental health and how to keep yourself healthy and still enjoy games and what will ruin a game for you. Let's start with the latter. If you're in a bad mood, depressed, down, and you're playing a game excessively, it isn't going to help. It isn't going to take your mind off it because your mind is going to work the problem subconsciously and that's going to bleed through into your consciousness as a bad mood, depression, anxiety, or something like that. And that game will suddenly become associated with that bad feeling. So it'll make you feel bad. Then, even the best of games will appear to be bad games. You'll go on a forum or say something that nobody else agrees with. That will make you feel bad because they don't agree with you. Why can't they see how bad this game is? Because I can see it. It's doubling down effect. So, if you've got an issue going on in your life, you need to try and get a handle on that before you load up a game. And what I suggest you do is you go and talk to people. You think about it. Take time out just to think about it, and then give yourself time to chill and just absorb what conclusions you've drawn. When you're chilling out, when you think you've got a handle on some things, you need time to think about what conclusions you've drawn. That's the time to go on the game and just do what you want. Your subconscious will keep on working the problem, but instead of feeding you poison, it'll be feeding you hope. So save the game until after the problem is not, if not resolved, has got at least some good bits. Something for you to hang on to that'll raise your spirits a little bit. Then go on it because the raising the spirits thing will have an accumulative effect. Because negativity is how gamers end up with massive mental health issues, especially when you allow petty gripes to take over your life. For instance, right, here's an example actually. If you see a mod, right, and it's an armor mod, and you give it a 10 out of 10, and then somebody puts that armor mod in another mod, a bigger mod, a quest mod, and you give that quest mod a 5 out of 10, you've given it less than the armor mod, but this contains the same armor as well. That's petty, you see, because you've already given the armor 10, so why haven't you given it 10 again? See, it's little things like that drive people nuts, and there's a little reason like I don't like the guy's accent, which is fair enough, but it builds up. When you start thinking negatively, it builds up. Suddenly, everything's negative. If you find yourself in a bad mood, run a test, do a few reviews on items. So many of them are positive reviews. I'm betting if you're in a bad mood, most of them are negative. That's a sign, that is. And that's what I'm talking about right here. Now, if you are playing a game and you want to, just feel better, what I suggest you do is you treat the game as a kind of like thing you do when you're not doing anything else. So someone said, do you want to go for a walk? The answer is yes. You turn off the computer, you go for a walk. You put the computer in its place. You say, right, that's something I do when I've got nothing else better to do. That will help your mental state immensely, right? Because when the computer isn't there 24/7 taking up your time, you've got time to deal with life, your social life, all the things that make you happy and well-mannered person. Whereas when you're on the computer, your social skills are slowly draining away to nothing. So it gives you a chance to top up your social skills and restore your drained batteries before you go back on the game. And that itself, right, allows you to enjoy the game when you are back on the game because you're not feeling, down. You know what it's like when you're playing a game for a long time, you're trying to get to the end of a plot, and then at the end it's not fun anymore, it's a chore. It becomes a pain in the ass to get that last bit. Well, that's when you should stop playing. That's when you've already played for too long. And if you suddenly say, well, yeah, I got to the end, I finished it, but it was a bit crap, it's because you've been playing it too long and you were too tired to enjoy the ending. So you've wasted your money on the game at that point because you didn't enjoy it like you would have done if you'd taken regular breaks and, gone back to it as a second thing when everything else had been done. So life must come first. It must always come first. And if you allow life to restore your batteries and then you go on a game just to chill and not when you're in a mood or not when you're trying to run away from something, you'll find the games are that much better, that much more enjoyable, and you have less of a mental health issue developing as a result of any negativity in the game. In fact, you might find some of these games where you die and you've got to send it all the way back to the beginning, less of a pain when you're happy, but a real big pain when you're not. So it's in your best interest to make sure that when you load up that computer or console, you're already in a good mood and able to just enjoy it, because it's therapeutic when it is. But if you load up when you're in a bad mood, maybe you've argued with the wife or your mum and dad, that's when the damage is done. That's when you start doing silly things. That's when you're developing this in a negative way, and which will end up eventually with a mental health issue. So, solve the problems in your personal life before loading up the computer, or at the very least, analyse what's going on and give yourself something to think about before you load up the computer. That will help you in the long run, and when you're playing the computer, it will work its problem, like I said, in the background, the back of your mind, and instead of poisoning you, it'll give you a little bit of something to think about that has a positive effect instead of a negative effect. See you in the next one.